Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, joined by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett, and our very special guest, Sam. Welcome to our pod, Sam. Hello.
Woohoo.
I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
It's so nice to see you here and meet you off of Twitter into the real world here of Zoom.
Yeah, this is my first time talking to either of you. I love it.
It's so nice to see your face, and hopefully we'll hear from your doggy sometime.
He will make an appearance, I can guarantee it.
I don't know if you should encourage
Something
the
about
dog,
being
but-
recorded that he's like, I need to be heard.
Is his name Benny? Did you say his name is Benny?
It is Benny. Benny for Lopez. Bennett. Got all sorts of nicknames.
Yeah, if Tosh gets a brother, I already have the name picked out. You're gonna love it. I'm not gonna do the big reveal here today though.
Oh, not today?
No, not until he materializes. And I use that word on purpose.
I was thinking that's an interesting word to use for that exactly, Don. So
Like a phantom
We'll
cat.
see. The phantom cat has a phantom cat brother, maybe not. So Sammy, how was your week? What's the latest in Sam's world?
Well, it's been a week, let me tell you. Work has just been really crazy. I work from home, so I've been just kind of, going crazy. And then my dog, it's just, there's always something new with this guy. And then the Rodgers news has just kind of turned my world upside down because I wasn't really expecting any news this week, but that happened. I recorded a new episode of my podcast yesterday. That is always just a really fun time. It's really nice to have that in the middle of the week and take kind of, a little break from everything. But overall, it's been good. How have you guys been?
it's a good week over here in Cincinnati. Can't complain too much. I think I mentioned last week that I got to finally apply to a promotion at work, so I'm excited to see what happens with that.
I saw that.
Yeah, very exciting. So, that has been a long time coming for that to even materialize, so very excited. Just the news this week, especially Tuesday, right, was like the crazy news day. And then we even had some stuff on Wednesday with Carson Wentz being traded, which was, I think, kind of a surprise. So, just kind of a really interesting week. A lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And Dawn, how about you?
Yeah, who says the off season is boring? Come on.
Oh, there's no off season. There's no off season. Not
One
anymore.
of my neighbors, who knows I have this podcast and watch football really. And she's like, I miss football, because she started watching it again and we would text back and forth. You'd walk, like spit to her place. Anyway, I said, oh, well, there's the combine. And she's like, what's the combine? I said, oh, I have somebody I can educate. I sent her over a link and I'm like, oh yeah, there's the combine. And then there's going to be the drafts and you can do a mock draft. You need to get a Twitter account though. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the draft and the mock draft. And I have had a crazy week, and I tried to check in a lot because I could see there was stuff going on Tuesday, to say the least. And I mean, for me personally, I was like, well, I knew Rodgers was coming back.
Yeah.
So then it's just a matter of the details, but it doesn't sound like there's any details. And then, but that'll come out maybe or maybe not. Sometimes those details are kind of sketchy too, but so that was good news for sure, just to get it done and not have drama and people fighting. And although people still find reasons.
They'll find something to fight about.
Always something to fight about for sure. Absolutely.
I knew he'd be back. I mean, I just felt like he would be back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll hear details next week, because I think they have to get the cap down by next week. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they have to release some of that. And then Devontae was tagged, right?
I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, happy. He's probably not happy about it.
No.
I'm sure it's temporary though. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna work out a deal with him, right?
Before the season.
He wants it. They want it. It's just a matter of
right. It's I mean, it's a lot to get done. And I found myself kind of looking up, what does it mean? Again, refreshing. What does it mean to be franchise tag from both sides, you know? And but that's about all I could do. I really, I did check in with Pickett, excuse me, Wednesday to get, in case I missed anything, but I was like, oh, good. I didn't really miss anything because I popped in and out of Twitter like real quickly all day, like several times through the day, instead of just spending some time on it for a little while. So I was happy to be sort of caught up. I think so, unless you guys hit me with something new.
Unless something happens while we're recording.
Yeah.
Oh, man, no, but I'm relieved and calm. I like being calm. You know, I don't like being nervous. It's like I don't want to be fretting over if we have a quarterback or not. So, and I saw some stuff about, okay, somebody needs to give Jordan Love a hug. And I was like, oh no, what are they doing to Jordan Love now?
There were people celebrating that he's not going to get to start this year. It was it was very mean spirited. I think it was Aaron who said, someone give Jordan Love a hug. And like people were fighting about that.
Even apart from
That's
people
terrible.
being mean or not being mean to him, just the poor guy, like he probably thought he's going to be the starter for the Packers at some point, and with Rodgers' extension, well, that's the thing though. If Rodgers has like a 4-year contract, then Love will never start for the Packers. But we don't know if it's going to be a 1-year something or 2 or 5 or 50 or 4 or whatever. So who knows?
Well, and I don't know that much. I don't know anything really about anything. I know nothing about anything, but even if it's a 4-year contract on writing in order to get the numbers the way they want, it doesn't mean he's going to be playing for 4 more years.
He could retire next year if he wanted to.
That's right. So so we all just need to calm down.
Well, that was one thing about it. After last offseason with like just the constant Rodgers watch, that was just like the low-key base anxiety that was always there, in my mental background. Got sick of that. Not ready for that again. So, definitely this time around, it's just been like, we'll find out what happens. And by the time the season starts, we'll know who's on the team. And until then, I'll pay attention, but like, I'm not going to let it get to me. So can't hurt me again. Not like this.
Never. No. Same thing. And I was thinking, they're like, we're bringing back all the players, so we have another chance at the Super Bowl. And I was like, call me, when we're at the Super Bowl. Let me know. I mean, I'm all there, but we can't get our hearts busted in half so many times. There's nothing left of a heart.
Well, I mean, obviously we want to win a Super Bowl. Like, definitely, like, no one's going to deny that. But in the end, if people focus too much on that, they're going to forget the fact that, like, every one of these games where Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball to Devontae Adams is, like, really, really fun to watch, and just, like, enjoying each game, and just like, getting into that. Like, people overlook that, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah. We don't overlook that here.
Oh, not
absolutely
us.
not. And we know Sam doesn't. So let's get to know Sam.
Yeah.
Hey? So who's this Sam? So I'm going to bring out, as usual, Sam's Twitto. And her Twitto reads Sam in lowercase, SAM, period. And I have actually a question about lowercase, but because I often spell Dawn lowercase, but we'll get on that later. We'll never have enough time. That'll be after the show. Okay. So Sam at Samwich was just the most adorable thing ever. Samwich, I never shut up, which is also adorable because you shouldn't. Why should you?
Why should you?
And 1/3 of Last Call Lambo, which we're going to want to hear about, and that's from the At Game on Wisconsin network of amazing content. Yeah. And Sam resides in Chicago, Bear Country, Chicago, Illinois. So Sammy, please, do you mind Sammy?
I grew up going by Sammy.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I have a tendency to put the E at the end of everybody's name.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just
very familiar with that name.
Tell our audience what it's like to be a Packer fan in Chicago.
Well, it's mostly great because the Bears suck. I was born and raised. So I was born and raised right outside Chicago, and then I lived in Chicago for a little while. I mean, growing up a Packers fan, you get laughed at. My whole family's Bears fans except for my dad. That's the reason I'm a Packers fan. So I heard it from my brothers. 24/7. You're just a Packers fan. Packers suck. And I'm like, do they? Do they really? Heard it from everybody at school. But no, for the most part, it's really great. I can wear like a jersey in public and no one can really say anything because, like I said, the Bears suck. Yeah, no, it's fun. The rivalry's fun out here. It's never too much. People aren't mean about it. It's all in good fun. They're mostly good sports out here. I used to live right outside of Soldier Field, which was very fun. That was a good time. But no, yeah, like I said, it's for the most part, it's really great being a Packer fan in Chicago.
Can confirm, I actually lived there for 6 years and would regularly wear Packers gear around town. And
you lived in Chicago for 6 years?
I lived in Chicago for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I lived up in Andersonville, which is a nice little part of town up in the northern part. And no, it was great because I would have like these just kind of fun, jovial interactions with the Bears fans. It was never like people throwing stuff at me or like, swearing at me. It'd be like Packers, Bears fan kind of stuff, But no, I always thought it was fun. I don't think I'd have the same experience living in like, Minnesota. I don't think it'd be like that at all.
I agree. I was just going to say Minnesota's probably not as nice.
They're not nice. They're not kind. There's the Minnesota nice thing where it's like, the surface level nice. But for all of our Minnesota listeners out here, I'm deeply sorry for what I'm about to say. So, it's that's sort of like. So I lived up in New England too, and I found the people of New England, this is a broad generalization, so it's not fair, but the people of New England to be like not nice but very kind. Mm-hmm. So like they'd be brusque, but like they would really care about you. Versus my relatives from Minnesota, I have a lot of family there, are very nice people, but not necessarily kind. So I think that's an important distinction. But the people of Chicago, no complaints there at all.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Packers fans out here too. So it's not like I'm this weird black sheep in Chicago. Like there's a ton of Packer fans. There's Packer bars all over the place. So I will always have a home somewhere in Chicago as a Packers fan.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So you said your dad is a Packers fan. So tell us more about that.
My dad grew up in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, which for anyone who doesn't know is right outside Milwaukee.
There.
Yep. So he born and raised Menominee Falls, grew up watching the Packers, grew up watching the Bucks, grew up watching the Brewers until they moved to Atlanta. And then he was a Cubs fan. So my dad's got this weird dual fandom, Brewers and Cubs, which doesn't seem legal, but for some reason it is. So yeah, I got, growing up, number one is the only girl. That was my way of bonding with my dad, was watching sports, and he was always watching the Packers. So I became a huge Brett Favre fan as a little girl. My very first football memory was the Packers losing the Super Bowl to the Denver Broncos. So that was a fun time. Yeah, I was very upset by that. But yeah, he's passed on his love of Wisconsin sports to me, and I'm a fan of pretty much every Wisconsin team, including, UW-Madison. I love Marquette. Anyone who knows me knows that I am obsessed with Giannis and the Bucks.
How can you not be? Giannis is awesome. I don't even care about basketball, and I love him. Like,
how can you not like him?
He's a real gift. And I guess I always loved basketball, but football came later.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was raised in a total Packer fan family, I was just like, all that. But I just love the Bucks too. So yeah, and that's the nice thing about our off season is that we have the Bucks.
Yeah, and they're good.
And they're
good.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah, it's super fun. So that's awesome. So that's your origins. So what about mom? So was mom
So my mom was born and raised in Chicago, and so she was a huge Bears fan, and
wow,
they fell in love and had me, and I'm their first child together. So I was kind of like the test baby, like who's this child gonna root for? And I remember there's a picture of me. I wish I had it to show you guys, but there's a picture of me as a baby wearing I think it's like Packers sweatpants and Packers hoodie with a Bears windbreaker over it. They were constantly like, no, you're a Bears fan. No, you're a Packers fan. And yeah, by the time I was 2.5, I was able to name the entire Packers roster based on their number. Wow. We've got that on video too. I have a lot of stuff that I could show you guys.
Oh, that would be great. I can't do that now.
I'm gonna have to find it.
Post it, we'll retweet it. Totally.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
It's so funny. My dad's in the background. He's like, so who's number 4? I'm like, Brett Favre. He's like, I can't name these players now.
Right.
Because I've been drinking, but yeah, so my dad won that battle. But like we grew up going to White Sox games, Cubs games. I'm more of a White Sox fan. But I'm also a Brewers fan. So, and I'm also a Bulls fan. I'm just all over the place. Yeah. So I've got some of my mom's teams. So she'd be happy about that.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So it sounds like you're just a sports fan in general.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
So
I love it all.
Yeah. But your favorite sport is football?
By far, football. I feel like I'm most knowledgeable about. I love basketball. Don't know as much about it. Baseball, again, I love it. There's some terms and like baseball's got all those abbreviations. I have no idea what any of them mean. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love going to a baseball game. I went to like 5 or 6 White Sox games last year. I love sports. The only sport I don't really care for is hockey. Mm-hmm. But that's, growing up in Chicago, for a long time, the Blackhawks were not on TV because of their ownership, like, did not want them to be televised for whatever reason. And then I think he died. And then whoever took over the team was like, there's money to be made here. We're going to put you guys on TV. And that was when I was in high school. So I had no interest in hockey by that time. Yeah. Cool.
Well, that's a great origin. Everyone's origin story is so unique and fun to hear.
It's always great to hear where people come from and like why they are the way that they are. I could listen to people talk about themselves all day.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so great that you shared that. Matt has shared and other people have shared what it's like to either be a Packer fan and work or live in Chicago. And everyone I've talked to has had a different take. And I love that you brought out the fact that it's actually kind of cool because I haven't even thought of anyone saying, I don't know, maybe you have said that before, Matt, but because the Bears, of course.
Well, they can't say nothing. That's the thing.
It's like, yeah.
What are they going to say?
And by the time, I know there's going to be a time when the Bears are better than the Packers because it's just how things go. Yep. So in 100 years, when that happens, I'll be fine with it.
We're all dead.
Yeah. I've had my time as a winner. It's fine. Like, I know how to take criticism. I'll be like, you're right. The Packers do suck. Finally.
Right.
Fine. Yeah. Just gotta own it. Don't let it.
Yeah. Just own it. That's a great position to be in. We're so cocky. It's terrible. So tell us more about, if you don't mind, tell us more about Last Call Lambo. Is that a YouTube channel or a podcast? Or
it's just a podcast. I feel like we should.
Sam, it's not just a podcast. It's so good. I'm just gonna say it right now. It's one of my favorite podcasts, and it's got 4 episodes or whatever. You guys are so funny. But anyhow, sorry to interrupt you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So it's a podcast, audio only. I do feel like we should record video though, because just yesterday we were laughing, and no one who was listening understood what we were laughing at. But Erin was on mute and just was sneezing, and her body was convulsing, and we were dying. But no, Erin and Monty are 2 people that I've become very close with because of the power of Twitter. It's crazy what the Packers community online has done. But yeah, I've got a lifelong friendship with these 2 now, and I'm so grateful to know them. So yeah, it started with us just becoming really friendly on Twitter, just replying to each other's tweets with really funny memes. And then they asked me to be on their podcast, which at the time was called 4 Downs. So I was a guest on that podcast, and literally the next day they were like, do you want to just become a permanent member? I'm like, yes, I do. Cause it was just such a great time. The chemistry was so natural. We all were super comfortable with each other. We didn't ever run out of anything to talk about. So we talk every day now. And we've got this great podcast called Last Call Lambo, where it's like 3 people hanging out in a bar talking about football. Mainly we focus on the Packers, but we talk about other newsworthy things. God, I can't even remember what we talked about the first week, but I don't think it was really Packers related. But it's a lot of fun. Tune in, guys. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple, all the podcast apps. You can find it.
All the platforms. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Currently comes out on Thursdays.
We record on Wednesdays. This is just going to be during the off season. Then, once the season starts and, we start to see some games, we're going to release it on Saturdays, and it's going to kind of be a preview into each week's game. So we're going to have a lot more to talk about once the season picks up. But for now, it's a lot of fun. It's very random.
It'll be good when it's back on Saturdays too, because our stuff releases on Saturdays as well. So like when Four Downs and us are both coming out, that was always fun. I was like because we would kind of banter back and forth on Twitter about stuff with it, and so looking forward to that. But no, I just want to add that like the chemistry that you and friend of the show Aaron and Monty have together is fantastic. It's for those who haven't actually heard that, who are hearing me say this, like check it out. It's a real good time.
It's funny, like you would never know that we haven't known each other very long.
Yeah.
I've known both of them maybe a year. And we just recently started talking like in person. I mean, I haven't actually met them in person, but over calls we've started talking. But yeah, we found out that we all grew up kind of in the same area, which is funny. Aaron's from Chicago, Monty's from the Chicago area. So yeah, we've got a really good thing going.
It's real neat.
That's probably why you connect too, because you have that cultural,
exactly. Yeah. Packers fans in Chicago, there's a ton of them, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Makes me want to. I love Chicago, by the way. I do. Every time I go back home to visit, I spend a day or two. I hopefully spend a night there and a couple days in Chicago, because when we were so close where I grew up to the border that it was only a 45-minute drive,
which is nothing.
It's nothing. Unless you're my dad, then it's like, what? But he was afraid of Chicago. But yeah, it was the first thing I did when I got my driver's license. On my 16th birthday, it was get in the car with some girlfriends and go to shopping at the water tower.
Nice. There's not a city like it. It's incredible. I love it so much. It's one of those big cities that's got a small town feel, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's very easy to get from point A to point B. The public transportation is great. The people are amazing. It's just, I don't ever want to leave Chicago.
Now that you mention that, even though I didn't grow up there, I can get around Chicago. I can't remember street names or anything from where I grew up. I mean, my sister or my mom or somebody in my family, even though I don't, anyway, will mention a street name or something. Oh, it's over on this street or that street or whatever. And I'll be like, Dawn, don't you know? And it's like, I'm trying really hard. And then I get there and it's like, I kind of vaguely remember this, but when you're gone so long, it's hard. But I never felt that way with Chicago.
Well, it's a grid. That makes it a lot easier.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Or New York City. I love New York City because it's just really straightforward. You can get around there, and that's really cool. I love it. Yeah. So as you know, Hey Willip is all about relationships and community. And so we'd love if you would share your personal viewpoint on your people and how your friends and family support you and what you do with your new podcast. And also, some follow-up questions.
So, oh God, I'm pretty sure my family thinks I'm just like this giant troll who's always on Twitter. I've got 3 brothers. 2 of them have Twitters and are pretty active. So they follow me. I remember when my oldest brother, he's one of my biggest supporters. I love him so much. His name is Ryan. He when he heard that I was like gonna guest on Aaron and Monty's podcast, he tuned in, he listened, he like gave me feedback. He's like, "You're so great. You did a really good job." And when I told him that I was, gonna be on a podcast permanently, he listens. My friends listen. My friends think it's amazing that I'm actually doing a podcast, because I don't think any of us had known anyone with a podcast previously. So I'm like the first podcast person of our friend group, and they think it's like so funny, but they're like amazed at the same time. I don't know. I feel like people think it's a lot harder than it really is.
It's not very hard.
Yeah, it's
right.
Yeah,
I mean, but I should say, I need to qualify that statement. It's not hard for me because Dawn does all the work. So super easy for me.
Just sit back and talk in the microphone.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, once you get your equipment and just figure out what you like to talk about, what you're good at talking about, it's nothing. Yeah, everyone's really great. My boyfriend thinks it's hilarious that I'm on.
I love that your brother supports you and he's a Bears fan.
He is. I mean, like I said, they're not mean about it. It's, it's all in good fun. And, I like to think that maybe I know what I'm talking about, and they know what they're talking about. So it's more of, I mean, I don't know. It's like listening to sports radio, like kind of just listen to get informed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe laugh a little.
Unless you're listening to our podcast, because you no, I say that, but we're not. Yeah, we like to follow the ones who are informing us. Give you the best thing, because there's so much content out there. But no, I agree. People tend to complicate things or overthink. Like podcast, like Matt. When I asked Matt if he wanted to do a podcast, I was like, it would just be us talking. Like, that's it. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take it from that, point of view, and don't stress yourself out too much, because I don't. I just like, whatever, we'll try it. Technology, once you kind of get a framework going, you just kind of plop it in, unless somebody changes something on you.
we had issues last week. They were of my own making, so
well, it was fine. We wanted to try. Matt wanted, you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
We tried a new platform last week. It was good and bad, but the bad just did not work. So
yeah.
Well, now you know.
Now we know.
Now we know. Yeah.
Right. He's like, I'm like, as long as it doesn't make any more work for me, because I do a little bit more work, but not that much, Matt. Really. I mean, one of these days, Matt, when we have time, which is kind of a joke because that's never going to happen. But
I have kids instead of time.
Who's got time? I have no time. But I will walk you through what I do in the back, and you'll be like, oh, it's okay. I mean, apart from designing it in the first place.
Right. No, the design and like you set up the infrastructure, like the infrastructure is set up, so now it's easy to do those things. But no, it's all the front end stuff. Yeah.
So you know how we are in Wisconsin. We try to be as modest as we can. Thank you, Matt. Matt is so great about always giving me credit for it, and that's just darling. And
that's a lot of credit. So
that's really sweet. So Sam, I feel like you're part of a central part of our Packers Twitter community, right?
Yeah.
And I really do. And
I can't believe it.
Congratulations. You've just
look how far I've come.
So we'd like to ask you what we like to ask all of our guests is, what one thing you love about the Packers community online, and one thing that you would change if you could.
I love the sense of community that Packers Twitter has. I feel like, because I've got a lot of different weird sports fandoms that follow me. Like there's a lot of 76ers fans for some reason who follow me. But I have never seen a community online like Packers Twitter. They are able to get things trending like it's nothing. Thirsty Thursday. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. And I think for the most part, everyone in Packers Twitter is very accepting. And it's very easy to talk to them. And I love that. I mean, I just love how friendly everyone is. One thing that I would change, one thing that I don't like, is how dramatic everyone is. Here's my dog. Here he is.
Oh, there he is.
Is he getting dramatic? How perfect.
He's so dramatic.
We're not dramatic.
Benny, hi Benny.
Not a dramatic community.
No, Benny, you didn't like that.
Everything is extreme with Packers Twitter. I feel like there's either a great reaction or an incredibly bad reaction, regardless of what the news is. Like with this Rodgers news, there were some Packers fans that were over the moon happy. They're like, I want Rodgers to be 90 years old and quarterback of the Packers. And then there's people who are like, we should just let him go, trade him. He's not committed to the team. And can't we just be in the middle? Can't we just like accept it for what it is?
Yeah.
It's a very small part of Packers Twitter, but it's the small people who are the loudest.
Oh, very well put.
Yes.
Very well put.
But for the most part, Packers Twitter is amazing. It's wonderful. I don't ever want to leave it.
I know, right?
So don't make me leave it, guys.
I love that. The smallest people, and I've heard that before, but I love that you just vocalize. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that drama is over, and I totally missed Tuesday. I mean, I kept popping in for whatever reason.
A good day.
Yeah.
It was peak. It was one of those peak Twitter days. Like anytime that there's just like big news that happens, man. Peak Twitter days.
Because it wasn't just Rodgers and Adams. It was Russell Wilson, Calvin Ridley.
Right. And I caught all that. And then I saw the Rodgers thing and was like, wait. I'll have to wait. I'll have to get caught up here. And I'm kind of glad I missed the drama in some ways. I was starting a Twitter account for my cat. And that I'm like, I got to get more pictures. And then Instagram. And I was doing that. And I had a bunch of appointments and whatever happened on Tuesday. I don't remember. It seems like 100 years ago, but I felt like I was gone. When I listened to Pack a Day Wednesday, I was like, I feel like I've been gone for a whole year.
You miss a day and you're just completely out of the loop.
What happened?
Crazy. There's like inside jokes that you miss. You're like, I was gone for 3 hours.
Right. But I did dip my toe finally into Thirsty Thursdays via the cat.
Love it.
I'm starting out. I'm going to get in on that. I love the whole concept behind it, and it's just a beautiful thing. But yeah, so Tosh made her debut on Thursday.
It was a great picture.
I take so many pictures of that cat. Oh my God.
Don't ever stop.
I never will. You couldn't make me if you try. She's pretty photogenic too. She does have her moments where it's like, she knows what I'm doing, but I have thousands and thousands, and yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. So I entered her into a photo contest this week, which we're getting creamed. We're getting totally creamed. So Packers Twitter, I went out there yesterday. I've never asked anything of you, please. I went on there and
news.
Yeah, well, I'll try. I was busy. We will. We've got until it's like some kind of, it's already March 10th. My God. Okay. So it's by the 14th.
The contest ended a week ago.
What? No.
That's me. No, I got her picture up there late, which doesn't really matter as long as she gets the vote. They're doing it like a bracket thing, and I don't know how the brackets thing. I mean, they're just brackets, right? I don't know that much about it, but something about the 14th, and then they have 32, and then they go to 16 and 8 and something like that. So I put her picture up, and I thought it was like a 1 day or 1 month thing. It was like now there's all these different brackets and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to bug my friends every day now for a month.
Is it a contest? Is it a photo contest of other pets?
It is. And then I'm like, what are all these dogs doing on here? I thought it was cats. And they're like, well, we let dogs in this year.
I feel like the dogs always wash the cat.
Win. Yes, nobody's going to vote. Anyway,
dog people are fervent. They are a committed group.
Dramatic.
I've got a few followers that are voting every day. I should say she has for my photo. A few followers that are religiously voting every day. And most people I didn't know, so they just voted once. And so like we took that, we were way ahead, we popped up to the top, and then I went on there a couple days ago. It's like, we're way behind. Like, what happened? And there are all these different pictures, and she's on the second page because I didn't put her on until like whatever date it was, and yeah, I didn't know. I didn't look into it that much. It's no big deal.
What's the prize if you win?
I do take a lot of photos. So the prize, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. It's just my ego.
You win
It's
best
just
cat.
fun.
That's
It's
what you
just
get.
fun. She's the best cat ever on the planet. I think there are prizes though. There's first, second, third. I think it's like a Target gift card. I don't go to Target ever, but I'll just get cat stuff for her brother. Oh, I have everything, maybe cat food or something. And then I also feed some feral cats and stuff. So I'll just get cat stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about the price. It's about the glamour. So Sam, I love that you don't feel like you're actually part of the central part of Packers community, but I see you that way. But I think that doing this podcast is kind of going to make people know you a little bit better and know you inside a little bit more, your heart and all that. And I really do love that. About podcasts in general, and that's why we do our origin stories, and why we try to ask a little bit more about why, from creators, why they do what they did. And it doesn't have to be, like you said, it doesn't have to be complicated. You're probably going to have these conversations anyway.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So why not record it for posterity? For posterity. Yeah. So hey, another, apart from the origin stories, a big part of our podcast, which you may or may not know, is our signature superlatives. So Sam, did you bring any superlatives for our audience today?
I've got a couple.
Cool.
Let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. I don't want to mess up this crazy headline. Where did the headline go?
I know. See, it's not just me, Matt. You take your time. It's okay. Where did it go?
Oh, here it is. Okay. So the biggest nope of the week.
Oh, biggest nope.
There is an article. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Axios?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's not the important part.
It is.
The important part is that giant spiders the size of a child's hand are expected to drop, I think the word was parachute actually, from the sky all across the East Coast this spring. I thank God every day since I read this that I don't live on the East Coast.
Shout out to California. Oh my gosh.
The biggest arachnophobia.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of much. I'm not afraid of any other bugs. Centipedes are fine. They're kind of gross, but that's fine. Spiders, I burn the house down. Let's just find somewhere else to live. Like, I can't handle it. So hearing that they're going to parachute out of the sky.
What the fresh hell is that? Why are they parachuting? What? How even? I guess
are they like meeting in like a little club? Like, hey, we're gonna drop on April 8th. Let's all do it. Like, where do they live? How do we know that they're coming? So that's my biggest no.
Oh my God. Well, that reminds me of an experience I had this week on that's one of the things I did on Tuesday. I think I walked over to my friend's because she was gone for the day, and I was gonna like hang out with her animals just so they didn't miss her so much. And the idea that I was going to bring my cat, but that didn't happen. In any case, she also has a rescue snake.
Oh. And
sometimes I forget. And
where do you rescue a snake from?
Well, we live in
flying spiders.
Desert. Spiders. And by the way, I am clicking on giant Jordo spiders expecting to drop from sky. They're from Japan. They've been infiltrating the United States since 2013. Oh my God. Okay, this is real. This is for real.
It is.
So I'm in her place, and I do this every time I'm doing things with the dogs and the cats and whatever, and then I forget and I walk past it's like a big aquarium where the snake is, and then I jump a mile and I'm like,
Is it a big snake or is it like a smaller, like a skinnier snake?
I don't look at it, but I believe it's a king snake, and they're large. They take care of rattlesnakes out here, so they're kind of the friendly ones here.
Oh my God.
And she found it, I don't know why. It was a baby, I think. Maybe she felt it was I can't remember. I'm not like into snakes, but she found it in the road and took it up. Yeah. And she's had him forever. And I can't he's called Choo Choo, but I can't remember why. Something about the train. I don't know. Yeah. But I don't like, do you like snakes?
I'm not against them.
Well,
they don't scare me or like gross me out or anything. The big ones that can like strangle you, those are, keep those away. But
right. Yeah, I'm not, they make me jumpy. That's all. I mean, we have lizards here a lot. A lot of lizards where I live, little ones.
I don't mind lizards. My boss, she lives in Fort Lauderdale, and she said that I guess down there at some point in the year, iguanas will freeze and they'll just fall out of the trees, and they've got just iguanas all over their yard, frozen, but they're alive. And then when it warms up, they wake up.
I've heard about that.
Cryogenic. That's interesting. Yeah. And in Cincinnati, like decades ago, the Lazarus family, which is like a family here who has a department store, had one, and they're kind of like one of those big families. They took a trip to, I think, Italy, and the kids in the family brought back a couple of like little like lizards that they found there that they captured. Yeah. And those things escaped and bred and have spread all over this part of Cincinnati. So they're known as like the Lazarus lizards from the family, but they're like a weird like invasive species, and like that we have them, you know, like in our yard, all over our neighborhood, all over the couple like neighboring, you know, neighborhoods.
Wow,
crazy.
They don't freeze. They because lizards are more like southern, like. They can get that because it's cold in Cincinnati. They don't freeze.
I've never seen one frozen, but I've never gone looking for them either. So I don't know. It's probably
they frozen lizard hunting. They're so invasive that they just keep breeding, and some of them survive. And wow,
it's crazy.
Yuck.
They're cute though. They kind of skitter along when you come up. You know, like go into like the rocks and you know, surfaces and stuff like that. And they're cute. I like them actually.
Yeah, see, I don't mind that. I don't. I might be a lizard person deep down, maybe.
That could, anything reptile, I can't handle. And thankfully, where I live, we don't have much. But we do have rattlesnakes and, you know, snakes, but they're not real. Like, you don't see them unless you're out on the trails. Like, they're not, there. And they tend to be more in the inland trails. But they can come to the coast too. Like when I had my home over here, one time there was one they like to sunbathe.
See, I don't know. The image of that is just so funny to me.
Yeah, they do. Lizards do too. Lizards will go up on a rock and just soak in the sun. It has to do with photosynthesis. I don't know all of that. But the snakes will lay on the hot streets.
That's wild.
Yeah, and then so you'll see them at a certain time of day. Yeah. Ooh. And usually it's the king snakes and everyone's, I've learned over the years, it's like, those are the good snakes. Yeah. Like, I don't care. It's still a snake.
You don't want to get close enough to find out if it's a good or a bad snake.
No. And they're pretty big. And then the rattlesnakes. Yeah. And I've been out like hiking and it's all of a sudden they're, and you hear the rattle. That's creepy. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm not a snake person.
Well, rattlesnakes, could kill you.
Just keep with the lizards. Stay with the lizards, you'll be good. So
right, most of them are. Yeah.
So spiders and lizards. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything bug for me? It's anything bug or reptile. Forget about it. Yeah. But sounds like Sam's a little more open-minded.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like afraid of clowns or anything.
Oh,
are you?
Dawn apparently is, it turns out. So.
I didn't know I was going to be terrified tonight. God, I'm going to need medication.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Dusty the other day just posted the clown GIF, and I just was like, it gets right to me. It gets right to me. I actually have a surprise for Dusty. Yeah. You don't mind clowns?
No. There's not much that freaks me out. I don't know.
I had a really good friend years ago, and he would always talk about his experience as a clown. He was a professional clown. He loved it as kind of like a hobby thing. But then he, years before had been in the Barnum and Bailey's thing, whatever that was. And I remember once going to his apartment, he had all these photos. He was so proud of it. And then one time, a couple of years later, we were at this huge event for San Diego. It was for some thing. It was just a huge venue. And he had this surprise. And everyone's like, Dawn, Chris has a surprise tonight. And I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden, there's Chris, my friend, doing his clown thing. And he was like a serious actor clown. Like it was emotional and all that. Okay.
It was a thespian clown.
Serious clown.
No, it was very artistic and well done. So my friend and I and she's got that's another whole story with this woman, Giselle, and Giselle's like, let's go back in the back and see Chris now and congratulate him how great of a job he did. So we go backstage and he still had his makeup on
and he was eating a kid. That is terrifying, Dawn.
He had his makeup on, and I was just like, I have to leave. I was so, and he's talking to me, and it was like I knew it was him, but it wasn't his face. It was so awful.
I understand why people get thrown off by clown. I get it.
It was just, and it was well done too, right? Yeah. And then I felt like I offended him because he did this whole thing. He had just done this whole thing, and I'm like, get me out of here. Poor Chris.
Oh, he washes off his clown makeup and he's Chris, but then he washes off his Chris makeup and he's a clown underneath.
He washed it off and came back out, and I was like, oh God, I thought it's you. Yeah, it was really, I didn't realize how much I was afraid of clowns until that moment.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually worse now because of that. Yeah.
I remember one thing that I'm deathly afraid of is large bodies of water.
What?
Oh.
No.
I am terrified of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to the aquarium, I get like the same rush that people get when they're on a roller coaster. It is. It's like exhilarating for me, but then it's like, oh my God, like that tank is like 1 million gallons. And then I start to picture myself in the tank, and then I like spiral. Yeah, it's.
Oh.
You don't see people like screaming in the shed aquarium very often, but.
Me.
Next time you see it, it's probably Sam.
I love what the shed aquarium did with the penguins in the beginning of the pandemic.
When they let them visit all the exhibits.
Yeah, they walk around in the aquarium
like
on the outside.
Waddle.
I love penguins.
So cute.
So much.
Penguins are cute. Those are great superlatives. Okay.
Well,
that was one.
That was one.
Yeah, we've got a joint.
Massive.
We've got a joint superlative.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So, as everyone knows by now, Tuesday, the news broke that Rodgers was coming back, and we've got some professional tweeters out there. And for anyone who doesn't follow him, please follow Justis Mosqueda. I think his Twitter name is JewMosque at JewMosque. He just nailed every single tweet. He was hilarious. I saved his best tweet. His sense of humor is just so funny to me. So my favorite tweet of his on Tuesday was, the important thing for Packers fans to remember today: you are chosen. You are God's favorite children. The Lombardi is your birthright. Never apologize. And it just killed me. Like everything he says makes me laugh so much. And Tuesday he was just on fire. And Matt, I know that you also picked him.
Yeah, because we didn't talk about like what we were choosing for our superlatives before, like just before we got on today. And one of mine today was gonna be and still will be for it. It is a joint tweet. It was best tweeter, just straight up. Justice just killed it on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. My favorite from him was the video using the Rick and Morty thing with the the bear symbols, and where they're just like crying and swearing. It was just perfect. Yeah, I know. He did so many good tweets that day. If my Twitter game over the course of my Twitter life is half as good as his was that day, I can die happy. It was remarkable. Really good work, Justice. The way that
his brain works, I gotta see it. I need to see inside of his head because it is just marvelous.
I love that. And Matt, so that's your joint tweet. Maddie, did you bring us another tweet?
Yeah. So one of the things we've been talking about the last couple of weeks has been like trying to talk about more non-Packers stuff, bringing that into the conversation as well. And so my wife heard this amazing podcast that she turned me on to, and I checked it out. It's one of those where you just binge it. It's like 8 episodes. It's just super interesting. It's called Wind of Change. So if you know that song by the Scorpions, Winds of Change, from like the 90s, it starts with like the whistling, and it's about like the fall of communism that might be coming and stuff like that.
I would
I'd whistle
probably
it,
know
but
it if I heard it.
you probably would. It's worth
Yeah.
Here, I'll just away from the mic. Anything?
Ooh, that sounds familiar.
And then he comes in, he's singing. It's a German band, so like they have funny little accents. And so the podcast is about this rumor that the podcaster had heard that Winds of Change was actually written by the CIA as a way to like kind of bring about the insurrection and the fall of communism. And so it's him talking to people who like, you know, have worked for the government, talking to people in arts, talking to people who are historians, and just kind of like exploring it and trying to like, you know, pull at this thread to see like, is this for real? Did this really happen? It is really really good. And just like, you know, those just fascinating stories that with every new episode, there's, you know, there's twists and turns and like new information comes to light, and it keeps circling like it could be maybe, or maybe it's not at all, or maybe, and you just kind of go back and forth. Wind of Change, so good. So it's like, it's not like a new podcast. It didn't just come out, but it did come out during the pandemic for sure. So like it's still fairly recent. So good. I highly recommend it.
That's crazy that there's enough information on that rumor to span 8 episodes.
Yeah, I think it's 8 episodes if I remember correctly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have to listen. I'm adding it to my list right now.
I listened to that one when it was, so I had to wait for the new episode.
Oh, so you heard that one, Dawn?
Yeah.
So good.
I am such a podcast freak. I remember, I don't know, maybe Matt doesn't, maybe he blocked this out. But when we first were like, well, what podcast do you listen to? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, an hour later, I'm still listening to podcasts. Such a consumer podcast, but I definitely support that superlative. That is so fun. That's a really good one. And I don't know if they'll ever come back and supplement it, but there are also some great podcasts that are promoted by those those fellas, those reporters. There are some really good ones. There was one about I think not an offshoot of the story, but it was about Harrelson, you know, that actor.
Woody Harrelson. Was it about his dad?
That's a really good one. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, there's so many great non-NFL podcasts to listen to. My God, that's a great one, Maddie. I love it. I could probably listen to that one again and I love the way they played the music in and out of it. It was just, yeah.
So Dawn, what do you have for this week?
Be very, very interesting to hear what you think of it. I'm looking. What am I? Okay, I'm lost. Okay. This is a shout out to who? Sam.
Oh, hey.
Who's that? Sam. I didn't know Sam was, whether she was going to use this one as her superlative or not. So this I got from Sam, and I think I retweeted it. The most beautiful sports thread. And this was the world's 50 most beautiful sports venue, a thread. And it's stunning. And I wish I could have said that I've been to all 50 of those places. And we need to add Lambeau. And the author of that tweet, Joe.
How do you spell that?
Pompliano. Joe Pompliano, I'd say. Joe Pompliano invited people to share where they thought was the most beautiful venues as well. So definitely worth a look. I looked at every single one of those 50. Do you have a favorite, Sam? I mean, apart from Lambeau.
I really loved the hidden like basketball courts that were in the middle of like, those big cities. I think there was one in Greece. I just really love that kind of stuff. Because it's really interesting to see like the areas that other people grow up in, but like basketball is such a universal thing for all of us. It's just so interesting to see it just stuck in the middle of these like old buildings from like the 1700s. There's this high-tech basketball court. The whole thread was amazing.
That was, so thank you for sharing that, because that was,
I'm
that was
glad
like,
I saw
would've
it.
been- yeah, that was beautiful. I love the photography, and just, it really took, I mean, I think of course, in California, I've been to Pebble Beach. I used to golf. So all golf courses could be on there, but you don't want to nominate all of them, right?
Mhm.
So Pebble Beach, I think he had on there, which is really a stunning place to go, even if you don't golf, go there, go Carmel and that whole area. And then Torrey Pines, which is basically, that's part of my county here. So, and he didn't have Torrey Pines on there, which surprised me. And so I nominated Torrey Pines and, of course, Lambeau Field.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised to not see Lambeau on it, because it's so pretty.
It is. And I was looking for an aerial shot, but I ran out of time. I had like 3 seconds a day to go on, like, on like a lizard, boom. How I felt this week. Yeah. I want to mention a superlative, and I forgot. Creepiest. It's the creepiest. And this is a follow-up to our conversation with Dusty last week. So, creepiest true crime story. Dusty, we were talking, right, Maddie, with Dusty last week about, horror. And I think this was off. I can't even remember what part was on the show.
Most of it was afterwards. Yeah, I talked about horror versus true crime and how they like hit differently. Yeah,
exactly. And there was a time very recently where I couldn't tolerate either, but now I'm into the true crime stuff. And I think Aaron is too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I've been kind of binging on this one called, the name of his YouTube is called That Chapter. And it's an Irish guy, and with the full on Irish, accent and he tells the story, and he's very succinct. He does a ton of research. He gets it down to like 20 minutes. And he also does it with incredible empathy and a sense of humor. It's funny, like true crime. It's palatable. And I thought that might be one reason I'm able to handle it, because of the way he delivers it. But I do watch a couple of other ones that don't do it that way. In any case, shortly after that we recorded last week, I watched an older one of his, because I'm like getting through his 400 on this playlist, right? I'm trying to catch up. And it was this woman. Oh my God, I don't even know if I can tell the story without like fainting. It was really, I couldn't sleep that night. So, okay, it was this woman. See if you see any similarities and maybe why it bothered me. She's 61 years old. In her case, she was antisocial. So she had 0 friends, 0 contact with her family. She was just antisocial, except for with her cats. And unlike me, I have tons of friends. So at least there's that. And my family, hears from me every day. So one day, it was a kind of a long story about how it was Houston or something. They wanted to build apartments around her, and she held out. She was really a bitter bitch. Like, she was a bitch. And she won. So she had this little tiny home cottage, say, in this big apartment development. And so people would walk by and nobody would ever talk to with her because, and then one day they're like, oh, her lawn looks longer than usual. Oh, the mail's building up.
Oh no.
So the problem, and I should just direct you to the thing, because I can't do it justice, but the problem was that basically a few years later, after it got turned into a rental and then somebody else was going to rent it and they're looking in the attic, they found out that she had, I'm sorry, not funny. She had fallen through the wall, from the attic, and got stuck, so she couldn't climb out. And her cat, there was evidence of cats eating her, and the cats were all dead. Okay, this is
No.
I'm so sorry. I'm laughing. I'm so sorry.
That's my biggest nope of the week right there.
Oh, that's Oh, Maddie, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. No more true crime for me. That was it.
Wait. So let me get this straight. She was in her attic and she fell through into between the walls and her cats ate her. Is that? Is that the story?
Basically, and all the cats were dead too because it had been so many years. It's been a long time. No, the guy was checking out the attic and he's like looking in the attic. He's like got his head up, through the hole, and he's like scanning and he's like, oh, it's dirty, it's dusty, and oh, there's a board that looks a little different than the other ones because all the rest of them were flat. And he's like, goes up there and he shines his iPhone flashlight down there and he found her skeleton, and evidently. Your face just killed me. I hope everybody's watching the video.
That's so bad. Oh no.
Honestly, I was like, oh my God, that could. So the moral of the story is stay close to your community.
The moral of the story is
don't be a biatch, man.
Don't fall through your attic floorboards.
Well, yeah, I mean, fall through your attic floor, but maybe in a couple of days somebody can come and get you, not like 2 years later.
And that's what community is all about. And that's why we love.
Right. That's why we're here. It's almost as bad as lizards and snakes. I'm still more afraid of snakes and lizards. And yeah, it took me a couple of days off of true crime. And then I went over to my third superlative, which is the most enlightening YouTube situation right now about the United States medical system, in particular the ICU. I'm on a real roll today on creepiness, but there's actually a really interesting trial going on right now. It's the state of Ohio versus Dr. William Husel, who is a ICU doctor who's being charged. Initially, he was charged with 25 murders, and now it's 14 murders. And I put that in quotes. You decide if you watch the trial. I think it's just a really interesting thing that I honestly feel like everybody in this country should watch this trial, because it's I don't want to tip my hands, but it's supposed to be a super long, like weeks and weeks long trial, because there's 14 that they allowed to let him get prosecuted. So they have to go through each case. But this doctor was an ICU doctor, and basically every single one of the people that died were terminally ill and dying. And some of them were even unconscious. And so it's a real thought provoker. And there's a lot going on right now. And I notice, like, I don't look too much, but I kind of peruse the comments. And there's like this, it's kind of like Packer's Twitter, right? It's kind of like there's this one camp who's like, why did they give him all that medication? They didn't need all that pain medication. And then the other side is like, well, just let them die with dignity. They were in pain. They needed the pain medication, right? So it's really, I think, important, because whether you end up in the ICU or somebody, chances are you're going to encounter something along these lines. And right now, it seems like pain management between a doctor and a patient is becoming so incredibly politicized. And for me, with health issues, it's really scary. I mean, I respect it. I understand, that some people abuse, and there were some doctors who did this and that, but man, this trial is really, if you have any time on your hands, Ohio versus William Husel trial, and there are several channels on YouTube who are live streaming it, and you can also watch the replay. But it's if you do nothing else, check out the opening statements, or maybe even the pre-trial. I like to watch pre-trials, because then you really know what the evidence is going to be, and so you don't have to watch the trial, and you get to hear about the evidence that doesn't get in too. That way. So, and why. And so, and there aren't closing statements yet. So if nothing else, watch the opening. And then when the closing happens, I don't know, in 2029, whenever it ends, this trial is very long, but it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say which side, because it's too early to say who is, but for a doctor to be tried for murder for even one patient, when they've come in there, and it's basically, the defense is arguing it's comfort care, and it sure sounds like it to me. And there's all these other things in the world that the prosecutors could be working on. It just makes me wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on? So that's the most enlightening, and what's going on. Superlative. So, oh God, that was a lot, huh?
Oof.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Between the lady falling in the walls.
I'm picturing like an old woman's skeleton like in the walls as I'm up here on the 3rd floor. Yeah, that image doesn't leave in my head. So
how did they not? Like, I once had a mouse or a rat die in between my walls.
Sure. Yeah.
Up in Orange County, and I knew it, and I had to get somebody out there to get rid of it. It was just a mouse.
And you can smell it.
How did they not know? How did they not? That's just really weird.
Community. That's weird.
Yes, it's all about
community. And speaking of community,
yes.
Worst segue ever. Shall we wrap it up?
Yes. Please do. Yes.
So, yeah, Sam, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter at Samwich. That's spelled SAMMWICHH. And then you can also find Game on Wisconsin at Game on WI. That's where we'll update with, whenever the podcast airs. So definitely follow both of those.
Yeah, and of course, all of the links will be in the show notes. We just want to say thank you so much, Sam, for joining us today. This was just an absolute blast talking to you.
Thank you, guys.
I feel like we've, definitely back and forth on Twitter, for like months now, and sort of, ow, just banged my hand on my desk. Too much gesticulating with my hands. Ouch. So, anyhow, just trying to be sincere, and there you go. Really good to finally talk to you, is what I'm trying to say. Putting my hand on ice later. So
I'm so glad I got to talk to both of you as well.
It's so good to see you, Sam. We really appreciate your time and you joining us here. And we love you.
We love you guys.
And we love all of you. We appreciate all of you listening. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and to have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. Take that, Chicago. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod. And
Now it's time for a sandwich.
I want a sandwich and I'm thinking about ice
I know. I
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens. And we cannot have that. We need all 11 doing their damn job.